Hi, I'm so glad y'all are tuning in. Just wanted to give you some news regarding my up and coming podcast. I recently did a podcast, and y'all have to excuse me. I don't know why every time it's time for me to do a podcast, I am under the weather. I think it's the trick of the enemy. I keep telling them leave your girl alone because she gonna do what she do. But yeah, so I have my tea, and we just gonna go ahead and talk. So I had a podcast recently, and I'm so grateful. Again, I have to get a shout out to Mr. Coach Richardson of Elite Taxes and Notary Service, and he also has like the Red Rose City Academy. But y'all, I don't know him at all, but I was just at the time, which was like months ago, when I was just like planning everything with the podcast. I was looking for different venues, and I happened to stop by his place. I was just stopping really to get a price on how much he would charge me to utilize his space, and he told me he would let me do it for free. He was like, I like what you're trying to do. I'm on the same thing. I got you. And when I tell you, he gave me his word, and he came through. He came through. So shout out to him. Like I said, we got to support our Black businesses. We got to support each other. We got to support each other. So if you need anything done, check him out. But anyway, so my podcast that I had was about like gun violence in our community. And I had like two mothers to speak who had lost their children. Well, one mother, she lost both of her sons, and the other mother lost one of her sons. The event happened within the same space and the same time frame and whatnot. And when I tell you it hit different, I don't know if you've ever had to talk to a mother who has lost her child to gun violence, but we did it, and I can't wait for everybody to tune in, and they did such a good job. Shout out to Miss Laverne, shout out to Miss Sean, and shout out to Nishon for sharing their stories. Can't wait for y'all to check it out and tune in. But so, y'all, we had something that happened. I'm not going to really go into the details and stuff like that. That's not what I'm here to do. But I'm just going to tell you how we got here. Because I initially was just going to talk about my up-and-coming podcast. And that was going to be it. But I had to do some serious praying about speaking about what I'm about to speak about what I'm about to address. Well, we had an incident that happened. If you know, you know. If you don't, you better find some type of news or something to tune in, because I'm not going to really go into all that. But my main thing that I want to talk about is the comments. Me personally, I didn't see too many comments. And I thank God I didn't. I probably would just kept strolling or whatnot, because I'm just like really mindful of what I entertain or what I'm looking at and stuff like that. But I do have friends, and they do keep me in the know. So I was talking to one of my friends, and she was just talking about the comments, and she was just talking about what the African American community was saying regarding this incident. And she was talking about what people of other race were saying regarding this particular incident that occurred. And it was so heavy on my spirit. I'm like, ain't no way. Like, really? Like, people really saying this stuff? Like, really? So after I talked to her, I talked to another friend, and they were talking about the same thing. And I'm like, people really have to be saying this. There's no way, like, both of them saying the same thing. Like, this is really, like, a thing. People really saying this stuff. And it made me, like, take the time and think and reflect on how divided we are. I'm not going to really say, in my opinion, I've ever felt like we were really, really, really united. But I think at this current time, we are more divided than probably what our ancestors, what they experienced, like the division during the time when they were coming up. Like, we don't have like a certain laws and stuff in place, but the division, I feel like, is definitely there. It's sad. It really is. But I said I wanted to speak on it. The reason I wanted to speak on this stuff is not to really upset nobody. And if you get upset, because I'm just going to tell you facts, I'm not really stating too many of my opinions, and if it is my opinion, it's strictly my opinion, but a lot of my opinions are coming from the facts. I feel like at this point, people or certain people or some people want to play the blame game. It's like, okay, you get your kids. You get these are y'all kids doing this stuff. You get your kids. And I feel like from the African American community, we're kind of like, well, it's so much division. It's kind of like, okay, well, it's not my child, or people need to get their kids and blah, blah, blah. It's just a bunch of mess. It really is. It really breaks my heart. But I'll say this. Nobody, I don't care what race you are, you can't place all the accountability on African American people. I said what I said. I stand by what I said. You can't do that. Well, you can do it, but I'm going to tell you why you have to. If you're going to hold African American people accountable, which you absolutely, there is some accountability that definitely needs to be placed in communities of color. Absolutely. But you don't just get to place accountability there. You also have to place the accountability on America. Because these children are a product of their black parents. They are. But they also are a product of America. So when you're saying get your kids, and some of the comments that, and this is not for everybody, because everybody wasn't saying it, but this is simply for the people who were saying it, and I'm just challenging your thinking with some of the stuff that I'm about to discuss. It might not ever change your thinking. It might not, do anything. But I'm just gonna say I don't think it's fair for people to just to say like, black people get your kids, and just hold black people accountable as if America has not, and still currently has done things that play a part in the product of what you have now. With that being said, so we're going to talk about one thing about me. I read. Have I always been the type of person who desired to read? Absolutely not. But I had someone, and I'm grateful, to challenge my thinking. And with them challenging my thinking, they were constantly like referring different books for me to read. And once I started to read a lot of these books, I realized like a lot of stuff I thought that I knew, I really didn't know. I was just going along. I've just been, a lot of people, me and a lot of people, you just been conditioned to just go along. So your mama might have said this to you, school might have taught you this, so you just go along with it. Sometimes you never take the time to challenge some of the stuff that's being presented to you. And once I started to read certain books, and I feel like a lot of the books started to challenge my thinking, challenge the way I looked at things, challenge my views. That's what made me wanted to read more often. So now I still read. Now I am guilty of not finishing a book. I will read like 2, 3, 4 chapters, 5, and then I might go to another book. Then I might pick back up later on. But I do read. And I would challenge like all people, especially black people. You need to read. It's so much knowledge in a book. Trust me when I say it's so much knowledge that you lack in a book. And a lot of times you never get it because you won't pick up a book. So, one of the books I'm going to be kind of talking about today is Candace Owens' Blackout. Now, I know Trust me, I know a lot of people don't like Candace, and it's okay. But what I'm going to challenge those people who don't like Candace is to take away the emotion, because you can learn something from anybody. You don't have to like the person to or agree with everything they say, because I don't dislike Candace, but I don't agree with everything she says. But she is very knowledgeable, and she does have a lot of great facts and stuff in her book. So with that, I'm just gonna say this. So I'm gonna start off by talking about a president, Lyndon B. Johnson. He was a Democrat president, and he was the 36th president of the United States. And he became the president after the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Y'all have to excuse me. My throat is hurting, and I'm still nervous because your girl, like I said, I have not perfected this, but we're going to make it do what it do. So he's known for implementing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the voting rights of 1965. He also came up with something known as the Great Society Program, which was like welfare, you know. So what caused him, well, what I've researched and in my research, me researching everything, what caused him to implement this program was he was trying to eradicate poverty in all America. Now, do your own research. Again, I say this, do your own research. I'm not here because in doing my research, I've heard so many different reasons behind why he did some of the things he did. I don't know. I don't know the man personally. He been dead a long, long time. I'm just going to say, go ahead, read, do the research, draw your own conclusions. But one thing that we cannot dispute is he did come up with the welfare system. When he created this system, welfare was fully embraced by struggling blacks, so much so they did not object to rules that rendered poor mothers ineligible for benefits when an able-bodied male was present. So pretty much what it's saying is that I'm going to give you these benefits to help you, but that black man got to go. I'm not going to help you if he's there. He has to go. Though that was the rules. So we're going to talk about, now, we're going to get back to that. We're going to talk about how Black America functioned when there was no welfare. So in 1890 through the 1900s, a black person, believe it or not, was slightly more likely to be born to a nuclear intact family than a white. Even during slavery. Y'all hear this again? I'm going to say it again. This is not my facts. Please don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you, sharing the knowledge of what I've learned. Even during slavery, a black kid was more likely to be born under a roof with his biological father than today. Okay. So, go back to our current state now. When pretty much black people had their mother and their father in their house, this was common. This was, nowadays it's uncommon, but this was very common prior to welfare. So when, I'm not saying that he intentionally did try to divide or, dismantle the Black American family, but I can say that's what happened. That is something that happened. And when I talk about this is not something I'm saying. This is what the statistics say. So if you're going to get upset, you got to get upset with the numbers, not me. But so I'm going to go to Candace Owens' book. Like I said, The Blackout. I would encourage you to get this book. I know a lot of people don't like her. You can like who you like. Me personally, if I don't like you, I feel like I can learn. If I feel like I can learn something from you, I put my emotions to the side and I read and gain the knowledge. But to each his own. So we're going to talk about what Candace said. This is page 50, by the way. She said, emboldened by the appeal of free government money, many of the pro-family advancements made by a post-slavery black community were quickly rolled back. As some black women discovered that the government could act as providers for their families, they often neglected to hold black men accountable to their children, which over time can lead to choosing less suitable partners for marriage and fatherhood. Government assistance also provides no incentives to black men to step up. This was the first major indentation that the government made upon black culture. So when we talk about a lot that's going on with the youth, you have to understand a lot of the youth that's getting into trouble and joining gangs and getting involved in all of these activities, a lot of them are coming from fatherless households. So again, when I say that, you can say that, okay, well, women, you got to be mindful of who you laying down with. That is absolutely true. That's true. But can we also agree that welfare played a part in creating what we currently have now by encouraging, couldn't make nobody do nothing, but encouraging African American women to remove the black man from the home so they can get the benefits. Again, these children are a product of their mother and their father, but they also a product of America. So we talked about that. So now we're going to also talk about, so we discussed, remove the black man from the house. I'm going to give you money. I'm going to make sure you're good, but he can't be there. We already talked about that. And we also already talked about now, prior to welfare, it was common for a black man and a black woman to be together and have a nuclear family. This is the statistic. So I wanted to talk about something that I had never really heard of this man before, to be honest. But his name is Tim Scott. He's a senator for South Carolina. He's a Republican senator or whatnot. And I was just like doing my research, and I ran across something that he was addressing back in 2023. So he was addressing this to a governor of Florida. Now, I never even heard of this stuff, but that's what I'm saying. Is knowledge is power. I encourage people to do research. So he addressed Governor Ron DeSantis, I pray I'm pronouncing his name right, of Florida, regarding his education policies that require students. Now, understand what I said. This is 2023. It required students to learn slavery did some good because slaves developed skills. This is an education system. This same education system, you have to understand, these black kids are a part of that. The same education system that is requiring them to learn that slavery did some good because slaves developed skills. And his response was, when I say his response, I'm talking about the Senator Tim Scott. His response was, black families survived slavery, poll tax, and literacy tests. We survived discrimination being woven into the laws of the country. He argued that what was hard for African Americans to survive was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money when they decided to take the black father out of the household to get a check in the mail. Now, you can measure that in unemployment, crime, and devastation. So, again, that's just one thing I wanted to state. When you're just be mindful when you playing the pointing finger game, because sometimes the person you pointing a finger at is another finger pointing back at somebody else too. Just be mindful, and I just encourage you, like I said, do your research. Do your research. It might not change anything. You might still feel how you feel. You're entitled to that. But I would encourage people to do their research. Something else I wanted to talk about was banning books. Yes, for a lot of people who don't know, it's a lot of books that's banned from the education system that teaches Black history. They're banned. Banning books that teach the honest, factual, accurate history of Black people in America. That's what's going on. So sharing Black history is an offense to some people. So they have state laws that censor books that share historical events in America when it was legal for more than 400 years to oppress and abuse African Americans under slavery. So when you have Black students, and I'm just challenging your thinking, you have Black students who attend school and they never learn about their history, or if they are taught their history, it only begins with slavery, or it only shares the narrative of them being oppressed, because they're going to identify with the Black people that you're talking about. So if you're talking about slaves and you're talking about the people who were oppressed, these Black students identify with that. And you purposely ban books to teach them their history. What do you think the effects of that is? Again, these kids are a product of that. So let's talk about some of the effects. The omission of Black contributions. When African American history is marginalized or omitted, students are deprived of a complete understanding of American history and the contributions of Black people to various fields. When you're banning these books and you purposely not teaching Black children about their history on purpose, these kids are a product of that. So when you only focus on the negative aspects, and when I mean the negative aspects, that's what I'm talking about. The Black children are only being taught about slavery or pretty much oppressed people. What are you doing? What happens? What you never take into account how that impacts them, because they identify with the Black people that you're talking about. A curricula that primarily focuses on the negative aspects of African American history, like slavery and oppression, without also highlighting achievements and resilience, can create a screwed and incomplete picture of the African American experience. That's just the facts. You can't. What else does it do? I got a whole list right here, like for real, of what this does just by you banning books for these kids to read about their history. By downplaying or ignoring Black history, schools risk reinforcing dominant narratives that often center white perspectives and experiences, potentially leading to a lack of understanding and empathy for other groups. When you banning these books about African American students' history, America, this is what you're doing. This is what you get. This. You can't just put it all on the parents. We also have to question, what is America teaching these children or our children? So I'm not going to really go on and on and on, because like I said, I could really just go on and on and on about just what that alone does to African American students. But I wanted to talk about something else. So the music. the music. So you have a lot of people who own these record labels who create industry puppets. And the industry puppets are typically the people who the young youth they identify as. What I'm trying to say is they look like them. You take people that look like them and you create a narrative, and a lot of these children try to live up to that narrative that you created. So I'm going to talk about Smitty and D podcast. I would encourage everybody to watch that podcast. I love watching it. She has a lot of great speakers on there. Very positive message on a lot of her episodes. But this is not me. I got this from the podcast. But the music industry, especially record labels, plays a major role in promoting negativity in the rap community. Many record companies prioritize profits over the well-beings of communities, pushing rappers to promote violent, destructive, and toxic messages. Instead of uplifting content, these labels heavily invest in songs glorifying gang violence, drugs use, and prostitution, which impacts the mindset of young listeners. I am so sorry, y'all. My voice is just about to go. The influence on children is undeniable. Statistics show that violent lyrics and messages contribute to risky behaviors, including drug use, gang affiliation, and criminal activity. For example, studies have shown that exposure to violent music can increase aggressive thoughts and behaviors in teenagers. Kids mimic what they hear in music, leading to a culture where they see street life, guns, and disrespect as pathways to success. African American communities are hit the hardest with rap music becoming a dangerous tool that normalizes self-destructive behaviors. The focus on negativity perpetuates cycles of poverty, crime, and broken families, with record labels continuing to profit from the chaos they help create. Again, who helped create that? Record labels. And a lot of people over these record labels, they don't look like me. That's just being honest. So what I'm saying is, it's other things I really wanted to talk about, and I probably will in a different episode, but my voice is really giving out. But what I'm saying is, again, accountability. Black people, African American people, I hate saying black people. We have to be accountable for what we allow our children to do. And even with that, when you place them out in the world, like America, there's still things that America promotes, and your children still can learn from picking up bad habits from elsewhere. It's not always at home. But I feel like at this point we need to unite and come together and save our children, because we got to get out of the mindset of that's your child and don't say nothing to my child. And because while we doing all that, we the ones losing our children. Our kids are willing to die. And I'm not telling you from what I heard somebody else say. This is what I know. I talk to a lot of these children. They are willing to die. And they are willing to unalive anybody from a whole nother block. A block that they don't own or nobody else that look like them own. That is scary. But that's where we are. I will kill you because you from a whole nother block. We got to think about, because The Village. And this is what another book, y'all, I'm going to show y'all these books. I'm going to encourage y'all to read them. I have so many. So this is this book right here. And I would encourage a lot of people, especially black men, Men, period, but especially black men, if you have, or women, if you have sons, get this book. The Man, the Moment Demands. Jason Woodson. I'm not even done with this book, but when I tell you, this book is spot on. He said, the old age adage, it takes a village to raise a child, holds true, but a traumatized village can raise the little boys. A traumatized village can't raise little boys to become comprehensive men. A lot of what we have now is our children. They do have a village, but it's a traumatized one. So I can only give you what I have in my toolbox. If I haven't healed, or if I have mommy issues, or I have daddy issues, or if I'm angry, that's the only thing I have in my toolbox to give to you to thrive. That's where we are. And I know for me, like I was a long time ago, one of the ones who would say, well, I mean, as long as it ain't my child, but you have to understand, it can be your child. It can be your child in that casket. Because a lot of these children who don't have that safety net or that village of people around them to teach them the right moral values and principles will be the same one to take your child life out. To take your child life. Won't think twice about it. After this incident, I'm going to share this with you. And if you don't think America in trouble, especially the African American youth, I don't know where you've been at, but I'm going to put you in the know. The incident that occurred, I was talking to a young man in my work setting. Because you know where I work in law enforcement. And I was under the impression that, because someone had already called and informed him of what had happened. And so he was talking to me about it. And I told him, I said, oh my God, y'all scare me. Like this generation, y'all scare me because y'all just, it's like y'all don't care. Baby, y'all gotta care. And he looked at me dead in my eye and he said, Ms. Mungo, I would have did the same thing. I wasn't ready. I was under the impression that he was gonna be like, dang, like that's sad or something like that response was not ready for it. And so I was like, okay, well, he's still young. Maybe I need to speak on his level. Maybe he didn't really comprehend what I was saying. This is the stuff I'm just coming up with in my mind. So I said, so baby, let's think about this. If your family was out and somebody started shooting at a public place, and say one of your family members got injured or killed, like, how would you feel about that? He looked at me, he said, I mean, you know, something happened to one of my family members, you already know what I'm gonna do, which I knew he was saying he's gonna retaliate, but it's still not clicking in that your family member was innocent and your family member was killed or injured for nothing. It's still not clicking. So that's scary because you can lock up as many kids as you want to. And you can give them a lot of time, but you got to think about that traumatized village. It's more up and coming kids right behind them that a lot of times take on the same mindset. So if you have a village that's taking on the same mindset, just as soon as you may do away with one, you got other ones that's coming right behind them. That's why I said we have to get out of the goal is to, if we see the village is traumatized, is to try to play a part in healing the village. Because if you're not healing the village or playing a part in healing the village, what are you doing for real? The village still traumatized, and the people who are traumatized can only give them what they have in their toolbox. This is what I have. I'm angry. I don't have my father. I've been taught to sell drugs, or I come from a community that sells drugs. I come from a community that carry guns. I come from a community that run up on the op. If the op is on another block, this is what I have to give you. Here you go. So we have so much work to do. And like I said, it bothers me that it's so much pointing the finger. And meanwhile, while you pointing the finger, these kids are dying. I don't care what race you coming from. These kids are dying from drugs. These kids are dying from gun violence. These kids are unaliving themselves. Like, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. And on my podcast, my up and coming podcast, shout out to Miss Laverne again. She said this, and y'all have to watch it, but like, she said, you have a lot of parents who are living. They living, but you don't have enough of parents that's raising. And that's the truth. Can't forget about these kids. They ours. They ours. How do we have... And this was from a person who actually attended. I was at work. I didn't get a chance to attend. And it's not just because God doesn't see race. That's a worldly thing. You know what I'm saying? God doesn't see race. But it's sad when we supposed to come together and be praying, because a lot of people being impacted by this is our kids. They black kids. That's what it is. That's the fact. These are black kids that's killing each other, shooting at each other, anywhere, on site. These black kids killing each other because, oh, you from this side of town and I rep this side of town, I take your whole life. These are black kids doing that. So if we're going to, it's crazy to me that we have people who were coming together to pray over our community. And you had other people who not from our communities, and they don't look like us, but they're willing to come together and pray for us more than we are willing to come together and pray for us. That's sad. I won't say her name, but she said, I was there and you had more white people there coming to pray over our town and our kids. These our kids doing this than black people. We just got to do better. We got to do better until we come together. Like black, white, white. Everybody just needs to come together. Especially black people, because it's so much of a division. We're going to keep losing our kids. Mothers going to keep crying. I had to do a whole podcast. Like I said, that podcast wasn't for me. That podcast was for mothers who have lost a child and who needed support from people who've been there and lived that. I had to do that because I understand that it's mothers now that's living it, and it's mothers in the future that's going to be living it because of the mind state of our kids. It's sad. But I would encourage, like I said, I read a lot. I have a lot of books that I would encourage you to read. Just to become enlightened. Black students, middle class teachers, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, Keeping Black Boys Out of Special Education, The Miseducation of the Negro, Legalized Genocide of Colored People, Open Season, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery, Black People Invented Everything, More Little Dirty Secrets by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's just talking about pretty much Black history heroes and stuff you probably wouldn't know because they don't put them in. It's not put in books like that. The Blackwoman, The Second Self of God. I have the Tony Evans, Kingdom Woman. That's like the same book. Heal Thyself for Health and Longevity. Message to the Black Man. I think this is a great book for anybody with children. Like if you have little boys, I think this is a great The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Brainwashed. Yeah, and I would tell y'all the authors, but when I tell y'all I'm struggling, my throat hurts so bad. The New Jim Crow. Oh yeah, I will tell y'all the Michelle Alexander. This is a great book. This is a great book. When I tell you, when you want to get the knowledge, sometimes you just got to go to a book to get it. I already talked about this one. Oh my God. Get all his books. I have so many of them. Understanding the Purpose and the Power of Men. This is one of the best books. I would definitely recommend this to be one of your first books that you read. Regarding things about me. I'm sorry, my cameraman like doing all this stuff. That's why I'm looking. This is good too. I'm talking about a lot of stuff about men and all that stuff, but for young ladies, The Fatherhood Daughter Talk by R.C. Blakes Jr. This is a great book. Great book for young ladies. Anybody with grandchildren, this is the book. Manhood 101, a single mother's guide to raising a son. This is a great book as well. Yeah, all these books. But a lot of times, like I said, the knowledge that you get is stored in a book. Along with the Bible. Let that be your reference guide for a lot of things as well. But in the meantime, I'm signing off. I think I probably said too much. Throat is on fire right now. But until next time, I hope y'all tune in to my next episode. Should be coming out soon. It's powerful. Peace and love.
Sometimes you gotta have hope, even when it seems hopeless. You keep your head up high.